How boring is your business is one of the key questions you need to ask if you want to build a self-managing business, and it's a question business owners don't like, entrepreneurs don't like. So this is basically the truth. A business becomes self-managing when work becomes predictable, and predictable for most of us is boring. Most founders never ask this question, how boring is my company, because it's so far away from their actual personality. Boring is not the enemy of growth. It's often the requirement for it. Okay, let me explain. Now, years ago, one of the non-profits I started took off fast. We were riding the waves of momentum. Funding was coming in, people were showing up, opportunities were everywhere. And like good entrepreneurs, we said yes to everything. In the beginning, you say yes to everything. And within a short time, we were not one organization, we were 10 startups hidden in one startup. So 10 startups in one startup. Now, it looked exciting from the outside, but inside it really was chaos. It was chaos because you can't really manage 10 startups in one startup. So I felt like I had to make 1,000 decisions a day. Everything depended on me. Nothing could run basically without me, because everything was new, everything was exciting, everything needed my input. And that was the moment I realized something about myself that changed the way I actually lead forever. I was great at project management, and I was terrible at process management. And these two ideas, project management versus process management, is the key and the idea also of this video. Because the difference has become actually a clear dividing line between businesses that scale and businesses that break the founder. Because we are, as business owners, entrepreneurs, we love the project management phase and we don't like the process management phase. But it has to shift into processes, otherwise we're gonna have a problem. So do you want to build a business that excites you in the moment or that frees you in the long run? Let's jump in. The trap of endless projects. Now, in the early phase of any business, projects are everything. Projects bring momentum. They create change. Projects take ideas and turn them into reality. And if you are an entrepreneur, this world, feels then alive to you. You start things before you know how to finish them. You build the plane, so to speak, while you are flying it. You make decisions fast, and you have to, because you have to figure it out on the go. That's kind of the gift here of entrepreneurship. But there is really a shadow side to that gift, and we have to be honest about it, especially when we want to move out of that phase where everything is dependent on us and we want to work on the business rather than in the business. If everything stays a project forever, you end up drowning basically in decision fatigue, because you have to make all of these decisions. And maybe you've been there, I for sure have, that noon comes and I'm drained. I don't want to make any more decisions, and I'm thinking, why does my staff, why does my team not just make that decision? Just don't bother me with it, because you basically become the single point of failure. The business evolves around you. Now, that is exactly what happened basically with the non-profit. Every new idea felt important. Every opportunity also looked urgent. Every change felt also like progress, because there was momentum. We were addicted to movement, because movement feels like growth. Okay, let me say this again. Because I feel that I speak to a lot of business owners who are trapped with the same idea, that we are addicted to movement because movement feels like growth, but movement is not always growth. Movement into the wrong direction actually can harm growth. It took me years to basically see this clearly. What we had was not growth. It basically we had a costume that we thought it was growth, because we had a lot of movement. Okay, so why processes feel boring and why we resist them. Okay, as entrepreneurs, basically, this word process is not a word we like. If you would ask me, to just Philip, follow this process, I would look at you and go like, don't give me a process. Let me just figure it out. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to figure it out. So we push processes away. And basically, for us, this is a cuss word. Because process feels slow, it feels rigid, it feels like it kills creativity, and that drives our personality. And secretly, many entrepreneurs also feel like they want to be the hero. Okay, we are not often talk about this, but I work with business owners who kind of got addicted to this idea, not just the idea, but the reality of being needed all the time. Every decision, every answer. Now they feel on the one hand they complain about this, but on the other hand they actually need it to feel validated. Every problem they have to solve. The team depends on them. But here's the thing, your business operation cannot scale on personality. It can only scale on process. Project management brings change, and process management brings stability. Now, in the business world, you need both, but both play a very important function. Change and stability need to be in the right kind of a balance, or we are having a problem. Okay, so think about this. If we look at payroll, invoice, hiring, recruiting, marketing, sales, fulfillment, every one of those can be repeatable functions in your business, and that needs to be a process. Now, most companies never document them, especially in the beginning stage, not because they cannot, but because the founder never slows down long enough to turn what they know in something others can use. And that's why you are the bottleneck as the business owner if you are stuck in needing to make every decision. So basically, here's what we ignore. Process is not the opposite of creativity. Process is what protects creativity. Once we've put something into a process, somebody else on our team can take care of it, and we can again be in that creative phase that we love, but not everything falls and breaks what we've started, because there is a process, and there is a team who takes care of that process. The more predictable your operations become, the more space you create for real innovation. Okay, project versus processes. I want to make this distinction clear because it changes basically how we are needing to lead. A project is something you're doing for the first time. Okay, that's why we also as entrepreneurs love this. It's the first time we are looking at it. You have unknowns, costs are estimates, timelines shift because you don't really know how long something it takes. You learn as you go, you build the plane as you're flying it. One person leaving can also break everything because everything is fragile in that project phase. This is why projects are exciting and they demand creativity and adaptability, and it takes a certain kind of personality to actually thrive in that phase, in the project management phase. But once you basically figure things out, you achieve a result, something important needs. You then have a path, and you need to turn this path into a process and into a system and into an SOP, basically, that then somebody else can do, so that you can again do the exciting things of innovating, of starting something new. So process is different, basically. The steps are clear. You have been there before. Order is consistent. Risks are lower because you know what the steps are. Handoffs are defined. The cost is predictable, and you can train someone else to run it. That's the beauty. You don't have to run it yourself anymore. This is the bridge basically between chaos and a scale. But here's what many business owners get wrong and where they get stuck. They love projects and they avoid processes. But you have to actually fall in love with processes, not because you need to execute them yourself, but because they actually gonna help you build what you have started and make it sustainable. So we really have to look at documentation, SOP, all these words we basically don't like, but are needed if we really want to build something sustainable. If you never turn projects into process, you end up reinventing the wheel every time. Okay, how to turn a project into the process? It's very easy. Basically, you do it once, and you do all the learning, you get better at it, and you realize, okay, now this is something we can document. And once you've documented, basically you can break it down into steps, you can delegate it. And then once you delegate it, you still can refine it and adapt it. So it's not static, but it is actually something that you already kind of know 80%, of how you've done it. You basically now can document it, and then you can delegate it. They can do it, and they can kind of keep improving 20% to keep refining it, to keep making it better. And people who are not entrepreneurs are actually good in doing the 20% of improvement, to optimize, to actually improve what you have basically built here with the 80%. When you do something for the first time, enjoy the project phase, experiment, learn, fail fast, figure out what works. But as soon as you know how to get results, stop recreating it, turn it into a process that you then can basically delegate it. So write down the steps, record the Loom, the Zeit, the kind of the screen recording, create checklists, let your team do all of this basically as you are have figured it out, and train then your team. Your job is to move more and more of your company out of the project phase into the process phase, because processes can scale. Processes can be delegated. Processes reduce the errors. Processes create consistencies. Processes allow your team to take ownership and actually improve on it. Processes free you to think and lead. That's why I love processes, because I can be in that first phase and then I can give it away, and I know that also kind of my vision of what I wanted to build is actually executed through a process and through the team. Processes increase valuation, basically, because also if somebody wants to buy your business can look at this is basically boring because it is repeatable, and people can like that because they can basically calculate that the return of investment is much better than if it's up to chance or to personality. This is the foundation basically of a self-managing business. Now, why is boring good? Boring is basically good because if it is boring, somebody else can do it. It's a paradox. Entrepreneurs love excitement, but business growth comes through predictability. If it's predictable, basically you can really scale it. The most scalable companies I've seen have something in common. The operations are actually boring. You know what happens when a customer buys, you know how fulfillment works, how the team will execute, how issues get resolved. Everybody owns the next step. Boring is the infrastructure of success. And that is a big mindset shift for a business owner and an entrepreneur. It is what allows you to take real vacations, to focus on strategy. It allows your team to operate without constant supervision. It is what allows your business to outgrow you. All the things we want when we want to work and build on a self-managing business. If you want a company that can run without you, it has to become predictable. And being predictable often feels boring, but boring is not weakness. Boring is freedom for you. Okay, so that's why you have to basically, the final idea is in the early stage, you need a lot of projects. And that's very normal because you have to get things going. But then you need more processes and fewer projects. So you're moving from a lot of projects to more and more processes as your company matures and as you are documenting all of the different steps. If you're addicted to new projects, you will burn out. If you move what you already know into the process phase, you create stability. So you have to slow down a little bit so that it is sustainable, and then you can concentrate on the new stuff again. That is what mature businesses look like. So how boring is your business? If the answer is not very, your business still depends too much on you. That's not freedom, that is a trap. So start basically thinking, what can you move from project to process. Now there's a document, and you can get the link under this video, a whole document where you can go through the appendix where I give a good overview of the difference between project and processes, and then some reflection questions to really apply this to you and to your business. So just go get that link and download it, the PDF, and take some time to work through this, because if you can make the shift even with one or two things, you actually free up a lot of time, a mental space, decisions that you don't have to do anymore, because basically it goes from project to process, and the process can be taken care by your team.